In a Harvard dorm room in 2004, a 19-year-old wasn't trying to build the future of human communication. He was trying to get back at a girl. That's not the story Silicon Valley likes to tell. But it's where Mark Zuckerberg's journey actually began. Messy, petty, and far from destined for greatness. Zuckerberg grew up in Dobbs Ferry, New York, the son of a dentist and a psychiatrist, in a household that valued intellect above almost everything else. His father taught him basic programming at age 12, and by his teens, Zuckerberg had already built a music recommendation program called Synapse that Microsoft and AOL reportedly tried to buy and hire him before he'd even finished high school. He turned them down. College came first. At Harvard, he built a reputation fast, not as a natural leader, but as a coder with a sharp, sometimes reckless streak. In 2003, after a breakup, he created FaceMash, a site that lets students rate classmates' attractiveness by pulling photos from Harvard's private housing directories without permission. It crashed the university's network within hours and got him hauled before the school's disciplinary board. It was reckless, invasive, and a preview of a pattern that would follow him for the next 2 decades. Moving fast, breaking things, apologizing later. But FaceMash also revealed something Zuckerberg understood before almost anyone else. People are endlessly fascinated by other people. Not information, not entertainment, each other. In February 2004, he launched the Facebook from his dorm room, initially just for Harvard students. Within 24 hours, over 1,000 people had signed up. Within a month, half of Harvard's undergraduates had joined. He wasn't alone in the room. Co-founders Eduardo Saverin, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes helped build the early version, a partnership that would later fracture into one of Silicon Valley's most infamous legal battles, immortalized years later in the film that painted Zuckerberg as a calculating outsider desperate for status. Whether that portrayal was fair or not, one thing was certain: the site was spreading faster than anyone could control, and Zuckerberg was about to face his first real test, protecting something he'd built before he even understood what it could become. By the summer of 2004, Zuckerberg made a decision that shocked his parents and terrified his co-founders. He dropped out of Harvard and moved to Palo Alto. Facebook, still just a website for college students, was expanding to new campuses weekly, and Zuckerberg believed staying in school meant losing the window entirely. He rented a house that quickly became legend in Silicon Valley folklore, a chaotic, sparsely furnished hub where engineers worked around the clock, fueled by little sleep and a shared belief that they were building something enormous. Investor Peter Thiel became an early believer, putting in $500,000 for a stake in the company when almost no one else in venture capital took a college networking site seriously. But the partnership with Eduardo Saverin, Facebook's co-founder and initial financier, was unraveling. As the company restructured and brought on new investors, Saverin's ownership stake was diluted dramatically without his full understanding of what was happening, a maneuver that led to a bitter lawsuit and, eventually, a settlement. It was Zuckerberg's first brutal lesson in how growth and loyalty don't always survive the same room. Then came the offers. In 2006, Yahoo offered to buy Facebook for $1 billion, a jaw-dropping sum for a 2-year-old company with no real revenue model yet. Zuckerberg's own board pressured him to sell. Employees, some of whom stood to become instant millionaires, wanted him to take the deal. He refused. It was a decision that nearly cost him the company's leadership entirely, as board members grew furious at what looked like reckless overconfidence in an untested 22-year-old founder. Zuckerberg's bet was that Facebook wasn't finished, that opening the platform beyond college campuses to the entire world, and eventually building an advertising engine around user data and attention could turn it into something far bigger than any acquisition offer could capture. He was right, but the path was brutal. The 2006 launch of the news feed feature sparked immediate user revolt. Hundreds of thousands of users protested what felt like an invasion of privacy, watching every friend's activity broadcast in real time. Zuckerberg refused to remove it, instead publishing a public apology while keeping the feature live, betting that engagement would eventually override outrage. It did. News feed became the backbone of the platform's addictive pull, And by 2008, Facebook had over 100 million users worldwide. But scaling that fast came with a mounting problem Zuckerberg wouldn't fully reckon with for years. A company built on capturing human attention was about to face questions no one at the company had prepared for. What happens when that attention is weaponized? Facebook's 2012 IPO made Zuckerberg one of the youngest self-made billionaires in history, with the company valued at over $100 billion on its first trading day. But the stock stumbled badly in the months after, cut nearly in half as investors questioned whether Facebook could translate its billion users into real mobile advertising revenue. Zuckerberg responded by making aggressive acquisitions few understood at the time, buying Instagram for $1 billion in 2012 and WhatsApp for $19 billion in 2014. Both purchases mocked publicly as wildly overpriced. Both became cornerstones of the company's dominance. Then came the reckoning. In 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal exposed how the personal data of tens of millions of users had been harvested without consent and used for political targeting. Zuckerberg was hauled before Congress, testifying for hours under a level of public scrutiny few tech founders had ever faced. Critics accused Facebook of prioritizing growth and engagement over user privacy and psychological well-being, citing internal research reportedly showing the company knew about harms to teenage mental health, particularly among girls using Instagram. Regulators worldwide opened investigations. Public trust, once the company's greatest asset, cracked in a way that has never fully healed. Zuckerberg's response was, characteristically, to build his way forward rather than retreat. In 2021, he renamed the parent company Meta and redirected billions of dollars toward an ambitious and proven vision, the metaverse, a virtual reality-based internet. The market punished the bet immediately, wiping out hundreds of billions in company value as investors questioned whether Zuckerberg had lost touch with what actually made money. He held the course anyway, then pivoted hard into artificial intelligence as the technology's momentum shifted, pouring enormous resources into building competitive AI models, a reflection of a founder who has spent 2 decades betting on where the world is going before the world agrees with him. Today, Zuckerberg's fortune sits well over $100 billion, but his legacy remains deeply contested. Supporters point to a platform that connected billions of people, created entire creator economies, and pushed real innovation in AI and hardware. Critics point to a company repeatedly implicated in privacy violations, misinformation spread, and harm to young users' mental health issues. Zuckerberg has publicly acknowledged imperfectly, while rarely fully accepting the scale of responsibility critics believe he owes. Both realities exist simultaneously, and neither cancels the other out. What Zuckerberg's story ultimately reveals is the danger and power of moving faster than the consequences can be understood. He built the largest social infrastructure in human history by refusing to wait for permission or certainty, and the same instinct that built Facebook's empire is the one that, again and again, forced the world to catch up to problems only after they'd already happened. The dorm room is long gone. What remains is a warning built into the platform itself. Connection without responsibility scales just as fast as connection with it.